Today I want to show you the KrotoCam that I built. Now this is a design by a guy named Chad Braedle of the KrotoFlik YouTube channel, and to me, I'd already built the Frugal Floater, and the Frugal Floater it uses a macro slide rail, which I may end up using on this as well. Uses a macro slide rail. This uses two flash brackets as basically the basis of its architecture, and you can get these dual L flash brackets on Amazon. If you check out the link down below, that'll take you right to it. Anyway, I'm using a quick release on mine. You can find these on Amazon as well. The link will be down below. Yeah, shameless. But the main difference that you'll see on mine is that I have a little thumb wheel for steering it, and that is attached to the upper half or the bottom half of the gimbal, just above the bearing. And the way I did that, not sure if you can see this, but I basically just glued, kind of epoxied a washer on the just barely surrounding the edge of the bottom half of the gimbal. Now Chad was complaining that when he spread the little tongs on the gimbal apart, that it caused his to not be snug enough, but I didn't really spread mine out. I just kind of basically grabbed the thing with a pair of needle nose pliers and forced it down in there without spreading it. So I think that kind of helped me out not having as much slack. However, my skate bearing that I have in there has a little bit of movement to it. It not as much as it could be, but it's still kind of, still kind of annoying sometimes. The other difference that I did here is that on Chad's design, let's see, on Chad's design, he used one of these and a little T-nut on the end of his thing. Well, I found that what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to use this gimbal interchangeably on both my Frugal Floater and this, and I didn't want to change my Frugal Floater because I like the way on the Frugal Floater it has a longer bolt. And so what I did was I took a 1-inch /20 bolt, and then I ground. If you look at this, you can see that so that this can slide through. It has a little spot on it that's more narrow toward the top of the bolt, and then the bottom part of it is threaded. So what I did was I took my Dremel tool. It took me maybe 45 seconds to grind around the edge. I basically held the nut, or the bolt, in a pair of channel locks, and I used my Dremel around the edge to kind of Dremel out an area similar to this that would allow me to thread it through here and then slide it back and forth. So I put this 1-inch bolt in here, I put a washer down underneath, I put a nut underneath that, and then I wrap that with gaffer tape, similar to the way that Scott did on the Frugal Floater. So I wrapped it up with gaff tape and then crammed this on here. Now, the way it is, I can just pull this gimbal right off of here real easy, stick it on my Frugal Floater, and they're interchangeable. I will say, I think that this is a little more stable than the Frugal Floater. Maybe it needs to be bolted down a little better, maybe drilled some holes or something and bolt it down a little better. I found that this top part tends to turn some on this whole assembly, but you can tighten this part down with this particular thumb screw, and that makes that pretty tight. But you have to kind of use a pair of channel locks to tighten it down, and I'm kind of afraid that these plastic knobs will break if I do that. So I'm thinking maybe something to more permanently affix them or something. If I can get this to where it sits more steady, more stable, then I'd be more comfortable with it. I'd like to still be able to fold it up. Right now, it's still got some amount of collapsibility. You can basically just pull the thing apart real easy and collapse it and stick it in a briefcase or stick it in your backpack or something and have a stabilizer. And the other thing that I want to do next is I want to put some rubber matting up on here, because this tends to move around too much, and I've got it balanced pretty darn well now. It took some work. It will take you some work. I'm using some pretty big washers to weigh it down, because the GH2 is not just a little camcorder, although it doesn't weigh much more than a camcorder, being a GH2. But anyway, that's the differences between mine and Chad's. This is the Frugal Floater thing, and I'll show you on the Frugal Floater the way the gimbal attaches. Again, it's just a piece of threaded rod, and I think it's like 1.5 inches long, and you just stick this on there, and it's got basically gaff tape, or Scott said hockey tape. I think I may have used a little more on this one to push it up on there, and then you have your counterweights up top. And I don't know if I'm going to add any kind of counterweights on the top of Chad's KrotoCam. I kind of like it being, it's pretty elegant the way it is. I mean, it's really simple, it's really elegant. The one complaint that I do have about this, and it's a pretty big complaint, it's that this, for me, it has to sit so far forward, because if I move this any further back, I've got to move my camera pretty far back. And being up here, there's not a lot of room around here, and if the camera kind of goes around this way, it's really easy for me to bump my hand on it, and I just don't want to be bumping my hand on it. And, of course you'd say, well, what are you doing? What are you running around with that, so much for? Backing it. It's not made for vlogging, or whatever you want to say. But the truth is, like, it's just something that is pretty. That's a big complaint for me. I can probably work it out with a few more test videos and tweak it and adjust it. Today was just a test day. I just put the thing together in just under an hour, and it seemed to work great. I mean, if you look at the test footage, which that'll be right here, then you'll be able to see what it looked like. Even me just running around and I'm talking to the camera, and it's really rough. But I wanted to give you a closer look at what I did with it. And if you want to see the whole video that Chad did, make sure you click right here, and that will take you straight to Chad's KrotoFlik video of the KrotoCam DIY. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day.